How I escaped tutorial hell. That's right. Today we're going to read an article about a dude who finally escaped tutorial hell, and I'm really interested in it because, you know, I feel like I'm still stuck in it. It looks big enough. That's what she said. As a self-taught web developer, tutorial hell was one of the most challenging and seemingly inevitable hindrances that I encountered on my journey. For me, YouTube tutorials were the holy grail of my education. We are very fortunate to have so many capable educators sharing their knowledge and expertise for free. Are we though? Are we so lucky? How, in the heaven's name, do you distinguish a good educator from the bad one? Just because someone is selling a course, or just because someone is sharing their thoughts and has a beautiful website and whatever, it doesn't necessarily mean to be good. And people often choose stuff that look fancy. It's not always the right choice. So however, code-along tutorials are a double-edged sword. If you're anything like me, you come to rely on the hand-holding of the educator to finish a task. In my experience, this became highly demoralizing. I don't know if I agree with that, but let's just read along, and I'm gonna add my thoughts to this. Love the image though. The good news is there is a solution. By pure happenstance, after much lost in time and confusion, I was fortunate to stumble across it. So save yourself some time and learn from my experience. And I can't wait it, man. It doesn't have to be this way. Please. How to overcome tutorial? The solution is this difficult conundrum is bipart. Okay, what? So the solution to this difficult conundrum is bipart. Part 1. The first step requires some patience, and the keyword is adaptation. We begin small. You finish a tutorial for a particular technology, and so now I challenge you to change the color of the single button. Okay, then either in the new tutorial, or if you feel comfortable in the same, change the size of some text and try to render an additional paragraph on the screen. After making a number of small tweaks and edits, maybe you feel comfortable to attempt inverting the entire theme or redoing the entire yourself. Maybe you want to change the functionality of a particular method used too. Just little small steps. Oh, is this specific for web development, right? Is this like a thing when you learn a new library, right? And you can't even change the color anymore. I mean, I know CSS and JS like pretty well, but maybe in a new library I would like, how do I change that? Maybe he has a point here. I don't know. Gradually, by making these small edits and modifications, you will find yourself becoming more and more comfortable with custom implementations. You might have changed some text color and padding 4 or 5 times, and lo and behold, the next time you might find you don't need to look up a guide, you're able to write your own unique code. Okay, so it means that, I think a little bit metaphorically, that you need to challenge yourself to do some things, so you don't have to Google it all along. Yeah, the thing is, yeah, we do that. I do that a lot. If you Google the solution, it's less likely you're gonna remember it. If you find it yourself, it's more likely you're gonna remember it. So a good tutorial is built in a way that kind of shows you how to do it, but it doesn't. You need to use your brain just a little, just a tiny bit, to find out what's the solution, because that sticks to you more than just looking at the solution. That's going to stay true, I think, forever. My first web developer portfolio was adaptation of a blog web app tutorial I found on YouTube. I looked entirely different. I started by changing the header color, eventually got carried away and overhauled the entire aesthetic. However, the underlying technology and skeleton was from a YouTube tutorial. It was my creation, built using material reference from a resource. My first e-commerce store was built from a YouTube tutorial. Once again, it's a totally different site with a lot of my own custom elements and functionality, but it's based on the same core infrastructure. A heavy adaptation until it is no longer the same thing. The only trailing resemblance was specifically the billing and the payment handling infrastructure, and even then it looked totally different, while the functionality may have remained the same. Now let's say you hypothetically find a tutorial that has a really good authentication system with an associated database. Perfect. You have found the gold mine. Example like this is too complex and intricate to be worth time memorizing, so save it to your GitHub, got the high-level functionality, and turn it into a new application. Sure, perhaps it uses authentication and CRUD methodologies, but it's a different application that you can call your own. Buy a dog, dress it up as a cat, pop it in your web developer portfolio, and you're good to go. That's what I always say, that you need to find high-level stuff, high quality stuff, and use that. When you look at how many packages modern web developers use, it's terrible. Most of the time you shouldn't be needing that many packages. You can manage without that, because every single package is a dependency, and if one breaks, that may cause some problems. I'm not saying it will, it may. The second step to resolving the issue is some good old cognitive reevaluation of what is and is not acceptable in the coding world. As a learning developer, many people become misled, believing that if you can't develop a full-stack application straight from the depths of your own mind without consulting a single guide, resource, or explanation, then you are a failure. Yeah, this has never been the case. This has never been the case. Do you think that like learning JavaScript, like native JavaScript and CSS is like it's just like that? It's not. It's not. Knowing a framework is just the tip of the iceberg. There's no shame to not knowing something. It's all right. It's perfectly fine. This is how your life is going to be. You're going to forget things you knew, and you're gonna need to Google them. Hey, that's what it is. This is our job. Everyone forgets. So this is incorrect. It is infinitely more important to focus your energy and attention to understanding the mechanisms that make technology function, so to ensure correct implementation and functionality. That might look like just knowing where to find a guide on the best practices for said technology. In reality, most applications are a very gray, cloudy, and indistinguishable mix of unique and second-hand code, so you should aim for familiarity, not memorization. The code in your application might be copied straight out of the documentation specific to technology, and that is okay. As long as you understand what's happening in general sense, then it's inconsequential. I don't think I'm gonna be able to read that. Inconsequential as to whether or not you can remember the correct syntax initialization of the technology. Again, what he says here is that it doesn't matter if you just copied some code, as long as you understand what's happening there. You know, if you know quicksort and you copy the quicksort algorithm from somewhere and just take a look at it, yeah, that's the quicksort. Is that a bad thing? No, you just save yourself some time. But you know, at least like be a little bit familiar with it. So you know, you can't know everything. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it like faster and easier. But this is just a threshold to how easier can it get. Find a good tutorial, finish it, then turn it into something different. Make a calendar application from a to-do tutorial, build a web developer portfolio from a bulk web app tutorial, start it with tiny changes, and gradually you will start writing more and more of your own custom code until you often don't rely on being constantly handheld. Yes. Lastly, it's critical to keep these tutorials that you have finished. GitHub serves this purpose exactly. An excellent practice to further accelerate your learning journey is to leave comments all throughout the code with the snippets from explanations you found useful in the tutorial. It saves you rewatching, and the code is often far clearer when you choose to revisit the material. Plus, it aids with your memorization and understanding of a concept too. So good luck and happy coding. So yeah, I can agree with that. Comments, especially within code, are very important too. Many people just comment what the function does. If you give your function a good name, it's like most people are gonna understand, especially you who wrote the application, is gonna understand what it does. But maybe there's something in your code that needs a little bit of explanation. And those parts require the most of your documentation. I firmly believe that if you write your code, if you structure your code correctly, there's little to no comments required to understand everything. Like I genuinely think that. Maybe if you need just a little bit more structure, you can choose to use TypeScript maybe. Leave hints here and there. Especially if you work with other people. But for yourself, I don't know. You just maybe out of practice, but I genuinely think that you are going to eventually like remember what's happening if you just take a look at it. But some sections which you think that, okay, this was hard to read, well, I mean, this was hard to write, yeah, you should definitely like leave comments there. I do think so, but it depends on the person, right? If you're coding alone like me, I know where I need to leave my comments, right? Very good article, very good article. Thank you very much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. That's your job. Mine is to entertain you with more of these articles. See you in the next one. Bye bye.